Episode 66, As Long as You Like. Are you worried about me? At the same time, in the monitoring room in the backyard, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui were sitting in front of the large screen, staring intently at the surveillance footage. When they saw the heartwarming interaction between Ningxi and Little Bun and read the 2 sentences Little Bun wrote, Yen Rui's initially tense expression softened a bit. She helplessly smiled and said, "It must be taught by Tingxiao." Lu Chongshan snorted but remained silent, continuing to stare at the monitor. He wasn't just watching her, more importantly, he wanted to know the reason this woman could make Little Bun so obedient. However, Lu Chongshan was destined to be disappointed. Because, in reality, Ningxi's way of getting along with Little Bun was as simple as it could be. In a nutshell, they each did their own thing. Little Bun was a child who enjoyed being alone. He only needed Ningxi to be by his side, and that was enough. So, as usual, Little Bun immersed himself in playing Sudoku with great interest, while Ningxi lounged on the sofa, brushing through entertainment news. Like caressing a little cat, she absent-mindedly stroked Little Bun's head, occasionally getting too engrossed and forgetting to pet him. In such moments, Little Bun would raise his little head, staring at her, silently asking for a head pat. Ningxi would then realize her oversight and quickly give him the desired tiger pat. In front of the monitor, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui watched for a long time but couldn't discern any special details. The two of them were self-amused, with almost no interaction between them. However, the warmth and intimacy between the big and small figures permeated and flowed continuously through the screen. Yen Rui sighed, "Although this girl hasn't done anything, I always feel that when Little Bun is with her, he's particularly lively, like an ordinary child." Lu Chongshan was not blind, and he naturally saw it too. However, he couldn't admit it. He continued in a deep voice, "What's the rush? Keep watching. I don't believe she can hide any flaws. If Little Bun likes her so much, it's definitely because she blindly obeys and pleases him. You know, her excessive indulgence towards Little Bun is like honey coated with arsenic. We absolutely can't let it go on like this. When Tingxiao sees it with his own eyes, he'll understand what kind of woman he chose." Ningxi read the news for a while and then put down her phone, propping her chin up. She blinked her eyes, watching Little Bun. Compared to the phone, Little Bun looked even more adorable. Feeling Auntie Xiaoxi's gaze, Little Bun raised his head in suspicion and blinked his eyes. A flash of inspiration crossed Ningxi's mind. "Darling, let's not play this. Let me teach you something fun." Little Bun obediently nodded, allowing Ningxi to lead him into the courtyard. In the monitoring room, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui, seeing Ningxi finally take action, nervously sat up, wondering what she was going to do. With a dark expression, Lu Chongshan said, "Wait, the fox is about to show its tail." Yen Rui nodded, anxiously staring at the monitor. Ningxi led Little Bun to an open grassy area in the courtyard and said with satisfaction, "This will do." Then, she bent down and softly said to Little Bun, "Darling, you're usually too quiet, and you don't exercise enough. It's not good for your health. Of course, excessive exercise is not good either. Your little body isn't suitable for it right now. So, Auntie will teach you the 5 animal frolics. If you practice regularly, it'll be great for your health. Do you want to learn?" Although Little Bun seemed to understand vaguely, he nodded without hesitation. So, Ningxi cleared her throat and began to teach. The 5 animal frolics are divided into the bear frolic, tiger frolic, deer frolic, monkey frolic, and bird frolic. Each set has different benefits. Let's learn them one by one. First, the bear frolic. The main benefit of this set of movements is to regulate the spleen and stomach. In the monitoring room, Lu Chongshan, upon seeing this, visibly froze. His eyes gleamed as he said, "This little girl actually knows the 5 animal frolics." "The 5 animal frolics? Isn't that the set of exercises you often talk about wanting to teach Little Bun?" Yen Rui asked. Lu Chongshan nodded, then his expression turned unpleasant. "This little girl seems to really know it. She must be putting on airs. Don't let her teach Little Bun wrongly." The 5 animal frolics were passed down by the legendary physician Hua Tua. They're excellent, but the movements must be accurate and standardized to be effective. I thought about teaching Little Bun before, but unfortunately, Little Bun ignored him, making it impossible for him to teach. Yen Rui also watched with some worry and nervously said, "Should we send someone to intervene? If this girl really teaches him wrong, it would be troublesome." Lu Chongshan nodded, "I'll have Xingwu go over." Having said that, he picked up the communicator nearby and pressed the call button. "Hello, Xingwu. Master, I'm here. What are your orders?" "You go to Lu Chongshan's words were cut off abruptly, and he suddenly fell silent, his gaze surprisingly fixed on the monitor. Master? Master? Lu Chongshan remained focused on the monitor for a long time before coming back to his senses. It's nothing now. After that, he cut off the communicator. What happened? Yan Rui was puzzled. Lu Chongshan cleared his throat, his face somewhat unnatural. Let her teach. Yan Rui was momentarily stunned, then reacted unexpectedly, asking, do you mean, she's teaching well? Lu Chongshan glanced at the girl on the monitor and replied vaguely, it's passable. Yan Rui glared at her husband. What do you mean by passable? Clearly, it's quite good. Otherwise, with her husband's personality, even if there was a trace of flaw, he wouldn't let her teach Little Bun. In the monitoring room, Ningxi carefully explained each movement to Little Bun. Have you learned it? Little Bun nodded. Great. Now, let's go through it from start to finish. Little Bun began to perform the entire set of movements, flowing smoothly like a cloud. Because of his small size, when he imitated the movements of those animals, it looked especially cute. Ningxi applauded happily, praising, Little Bun is amazing. You learned it so quickly. Can you try to practice it every day from now on? The praised Little Bun's eyes sparkled, nodding vigorously in agreement. Such a good boy. Yan Rui looked at her husband and asked, what do you think? Lu Chongshan thought for a while and said with a serious face, don't forget, she's an actress. It's easy for her to perform in front of us. Maybe she anticipated that we would be secretly watching her, and these moves might have been prepared in advance. Yan Rui nodded, let's continue observing then. Time passed slowly, and soon it was evening. Ningxi and Little Bun sat hand in hand on the swing, watching the sunset in the sky. There was something Ningxi had contemplated for a long time, and she had been thinking about it since she came here. Seeing that she was about to leave, she couldn't help but speak to Little Bun. Little Bun, Auntie has something to discuss with you. Lu Chongshan had been staring at the monitor all afternoon, and his head was starting to feel heavy. However, after hearing Ningxi's words, he suddenly became alert. Finally, it's coming. What do you think she wants to discuss with Little Bun? Lu Chongshan asked his wife. Yan Rui frowned and thought, she already knows the importance of Little Bun to us and that we listen to him. Could it be that she wants Little Bun to speak well of her in front of us? Lu Chongshan's lips curled in a cold, mocking smile. More than that. She might directly incite Little Bun to make trouble, trying to enter the Lu family's door. Yan Rui furrowed her brows even more, thinking more about it. This is too much. How can she use a child like this? Lu Chongshan's expression turned serious. You now understand. If an unscrupulous woman enters the Lu family's door, it will have severe consequences for the Lu family. It might cause chaos both inside and outside the family. It's a big deal. Yan Rui nodded repeatedly. You're right. If the family is in chaos, it will distract him from his hardships outside. In the courtyard, under the evening sun, Little Bun tilted his little head, looking at Auntie Little Eve with confusion. Ningxi carefully chose her words, looking into Little Bun's eyes seriously as she softly said, Little Bun, I know you've always liked Auntie Little Eve, and Auntie Little Eve also likes you very much. You once told me that when you love someone, you have to give that person freedom. Now, Auntie Little Eve wants to tell you something. No one can be your entire life. There are still many beautiful things in this world waiting for you to discover, experience, and love. Auntie Little Eve really likes you a lot, so I really hope that you can grow up freely and happily. At this point, Ningxi finally got to the point. So, Little Eve wants to ask you to promise me one thing. In front of the monitor, under the gaze of the two elders with neither tension nor coldness, Ningxi looked at Little Bun and said, Little Bun, promise Auntie Little Eve, okay? After Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui exchanged glances, they remained silent for a long time. After a long while, the two finally came back to their senses from this completely unexpected development and became even more nervous as they stared at the monitor. What would Little Bun's answer be? Facing Ningxi's request, for the first time, Little Bun didn't immediately nod. At this moment, Ningxi was also very nervous. She couldn't be sure whether Little Bun would agree to her request. 10 seconds passed. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute passed. Ningxi didn't dare to urge, only silently waiting, becoming more and more anxious. What she didn't know was that there were two more anxious people at this moment. Finally, unable to hold back, Ningxi, with her hands clasped together, pitifully asked, Little Bun, is it okay or not? Little Bun, like a little adult, sighed helplessly and then began to write on the writing board. Ningxi and the two elders in the monitoring room watched anxiously. After a while, Little Bun lifted the writing board. Little Bun doesn't want to learn. Ningxi's eyes instantly dimmed, disappointed as she hung her head. It seemed it still wasn't working. But soon, Little Bun started writing again. Then, for the second time, he raised the writing board, but Auntie Little Eve likes it, so Little Bun agrees. Ningxi stared blankly at the words, and after a long while, she finally came back to her senses. Little Bun, you agreed. You really agreed. And he agreed in a way that touched her so much. He truly deserved to be the great Demon King's son. At this moment, in front of the monitor, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui were completely stunned, having no idea how to describe their current feelings. Little Bun agreed. Little Bun actually agreed to learn. This meant that Little Bun had taken the most crucial step in returning to a normal child. Yen Rui's emotions were so overwhelming that they were indescribable. Chongshan, did you see that? Our Little Bun agreed to learn. It's really great. So great. Yes. Our baby agreed to learn. Lu Chongshan sighed deeply. We've tried everything, soft and hard approaches, and I didn't expect that just a few words could make him agree. Yen Rui also sighed. I used to think Jingli was exaggerating, but now it seems that Little Bun really listens to her. Lu Chongshan, after feeling happy, became more concerned. It seems this woman is not simple at all. And she's very composed. I underestimated her before. Do you notice? Everything she's doing now seems to be good for Little Bun. Yen Rui echoed, I didn't understand before, but now I finally understand why Jingli and Little Bun both like her so much, and even our Tingxiao is so fascinated by her. Lu Chongshan shook his head. Tingxiao is still too young. At this moment, a tense voice suddenly came from the communicator. Sir, young master has returned. Lu Chongshan furrowed his brows. If he's back, he's back. Why are you panicking? Lu Chongshan was just about to switch the monitor to see where Lu Tingxiao was when, the next second, the screen in front of him went black, and all the images disappeared. This little brat? Lu Chongshan was furious. I told you he definitely wouldn't be fooled. In the backyard garden, after Little Bun agreed to learn, Ningxi was so happy that she felt like she was about to explode. Unfortunately, at this moment, no one was there to share this joy. However, at this moment, she saw a familiar figure not far away, approaching step by step. Lantern. Ningxi's first reaction was to sprint towards him. She ran so fast that she almost collided with the man. He caught her shoulders to steady her, and with an excited face, she said, Lu Tingxiao. Little Bun agreed to learn. Watching the girl's excited and flushed face, Lu Tingxiao's eyes were filled with tenderness. He gently rubbed her head and said, You've worked hard. The man's touch made Ningxi suddenly come to her senses. She quickly stood up straight, took a step back, and awkwardly scratched her head. I didn't do much, just persuaded a bit. Damn it. What was going on? Why did she suddenly rush towards Lu Tingxiao like a returning migratory bird? Was this really the same person who had no control over herself? The teenage girl seemed to be completely uncontrollable, throwing herself at Lu Tingxiao like that. So, since you're back, I'll leave now. After saying that, she was about to run away as usual. However, she suddenly remembered something, her expression changed, and she bent down to discuss with Little Bun. Little Bun, can I talk to your daddy alone? Little Bun looked at Auntie Little Eve and then at Daddy. He felt a bit unhappy that they were going to talk privately without him, but in the end, he nodded agreeably. After a while of playing with Auntie Little Eve, after saying goodbye, he immediately turned to Lu Tingxiao and said, Goodbye, Daddy, and then walked away with a cute little step. Ningxi, facing Lu Tingxiao, who had just come back, said with a serious expression, Mr. Lu, there's something very important I need to tell you. What's the matter? Lu Tingxiao's gaze, like warm tide, calmed Ningxi's uneasy heart for a moment. Ningxi's heart settled a bit, and after careful consideration, she spoke, Recently, please be a little more careful, and it's better to bring more bodyguards when you go out. Bring 12, and it's not too many. After receiving a certain someone's call suddenly outside the villa that day, she had been very uneasy. Even though she knew that with Lu Tingxiao's abilities, that guy couldn't possibly harm him, she couldn't help but worry. She almost wished she could protect him personally 24/7. Upon hearing this, Lu Tingxiao's eyes slightly narrowed, a hint of coldness flashing at the corner of his eyes, but it quickly returned to normal. He then nonchalantly approached Ningxi. Ningxi subconsciously stepped back until her back was against the wall covered with climbing vines. Lu Tingxiao leaned against the wall behind her with one hand and suddenly asked, Is this what they call a wall slam? Ningxi blinked at the man in front of her. Yes. And a very standard one at that. But why did the conversation suddenly take such a strange turn? After hearing that you liked it, I learned it. Lu Tingxiao said. Hee. She really wanted to tell the big devil that he really didn't need to learn it. Moreover, when did she say she liked it? She meant that girls in general couldn't resist this move. Okay, now she couldn't resist either. After reminding him, she was initially worried that Lu Tingxiao might be unhappy. After all, it seemed like she was questioning his abilities, and she was afraid that she might be causing trouble for him. However, Lu Tingxiao maintained his teasing posture, leaned in, and softly asked, Ningxi, are you worried about me? Ningxi was a bit dumbfounded. Yes, after all, you're my boss. Is that so? But I'm still very happy. Lu Tingxiao's eyes showed a satisfied smile. Then he continued, well, can I send you a message every day to let you know I'm safe? Huh? Of course, that's fine. After saying that, she felt that something was a bit strange, but she couldn't figure out what was wrong. Lu Tingxiao showed a satisfied expression, straightened up at the right time, and left the invading territory. I originally wanted to invite you for dinner, but I guess you might feel uncomfortable here. I won't keep you any longer. No need to keep me. Then, I'll go. Goodbye. It wasn't until she returned home that Ningxi, with a belated realization, figured out what was wrong. Because, right after she arrived home, Lu Tingxiao sent her a text message, have you arrived home? Little Bun and I are having dinner. Everything is normal. Don't worry. Damn it. She just told him to be a little careful. Why did it turn into a pattern where the husband reported to his wife every day in the end? She really wanted to kneel before the big devil. She would never dare to say she could teach him to pick up girls again. In front of the big devil, she was simply trash. However, it didn't end there. Following that, Lu Tingxiao sent another message. In a few days, we'll go to register Little Bun for school. It's his first time going to school. I hope you can come. With such a request, she couldn't find the words to reject it no matter how hard she tried. Okay. After typing this, Ningxi threw herself onto the pillow. She was done. Clearly, she dug a pit for herself. But then, she thought about it. The more she thought, the more she felt that something was off. It just so happened that she had a day off today and was invited to accompany Little Bun at the old house. She managed to persuade Little Bun to go to school, followed by the big devil suggesting she accompany them to register Little Bun. She estimated that she would have finished shooting by then and would have time. Everything fell into place so smoothly that it didn't seem right. Really, just a coincidence?